Hello and welcome to our 9 a.m. English New Edition. Here are the headlines. The head of state receives a delegation led by the Ethiopian Minister of Finance. Beijing acquires the world's largest airport. Hello, welcome again. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received today, Monday, mid-morning at the People's Palace, an emissary carrying a message from the Ethiopian Prime Minister, Mrs. Abiy Ahmed Ali. The message conveyed by the emissary of the Ethiopian Prime Minister, who was none other than the Minister of Finance of that country, Mr. Ahmed Shide, related to the ongoing exchange between the two main leaders of the two countries. The relation marked by deep economic integration and exceptional and efficient cooperation on the most prominent issues on the region, including stability and security. Beyond that, the audition between President Guelleh and the high-ranking Ethiopian official served as a forum for discussion at the current situation in Ethiopia following recent events in that sister country and the unrest in the northwestern region of Amhara. In this regard, Mr. Ahmed Shide reassured the President of the Djibouti that security and stability will be fully restored throughout Ethiopia and that those responsible for this incident will be brought to justice following their arrests. The Ambassador of the Democratic and Federal Republic of Ethiopia to the Republic of Djibouti, His Excellency Abdul Aziz Mohammed Ibrahim, took part in the meeting, while the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, was present at the meeting. After his meeting with the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Ethiopian emissary, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ahmed Shide, gave an interview to the RTD at the microphone of our colleague Hidayah Mohammed. Minister Ahmed Shide specified that he transmitted the President Guelleh a message from the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, describing bilateral relations and the latest development in Ethiopia and the sub-region. Regarding the last temptation of unrest in the Amhara and Addis Ababa region, the Ethiopian minister said that Ethiopia is strong and has been able to find effective solutions to these difficulties. Today, the situation is under control, thanks to the unity of Ethiopian people and the forest and solidity of the state, said the Ethiopian minister. He also added that he informed the President of the Republic about the reform undertaken by the Ethiopian government, led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who maintains excellent relations with President Guelleh. The temptation of unrest in the Amhara region, more precisely in Bahadar, whose sector are regional leaders who had personal objectives to destabilize the region and the Ethiopian state in general. The Ethiopian authorities react quickly and are now in control of the situation. The people responsible for this unrest will be brought to justice. They have also discussed the economic and bilateral relations between the two countries, in particular the major integration project infrastructures, in particular rail infrastructures and electricity interconnection. On his side, the Djibouti Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, indicated that the head of state welcomed the message of the first Ethiopian transmitted by the Ethiopian Minister Ahmed Shide. The message is about the peace and stability of two countries, and also in the Horn of Africa region. He said the President Guelleh in turn conveyed to the Ethiopian envoy a message of unwavering support for the Republic of Djibouti to the Ethiopian Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. This reflects the excellent cooperative relations between Djibouti and Ethiopia, which are linked in many ways. Security problems in Ethiopia automatically affect our country. In addition, Minister Djibouti stressed the importance that both countries attach to promoting political and economic relations between the two nations that are making progress in economic integration. Unlike the other countries of the Djibouti and Ethiopia sub-regions fully benefits from the palpable stability for its development. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received today, Monday, late morning, at the People's Palace, a high-level Chinese delegation led by the Vice President of the Political Committee of the Senate of the country, Mr. Gu Shenzhen. On the agenda of the discussion between the head of state and Mr. Gu Shenzhen, the state of relations of friendship and cooperation between the two countries and the two peoples, as well as ways and means of promoting and developing them further. A strategic partnership that both parties have in several key development areas were also discussed during this hearing. It should also be noted that the interview served as a forum for identifying new areas of cooperation that could flow in with win-win relationship for both regions. The visit of the delegation led by the Vice President of the Chinese Senate Political Committee to President Ismail Omar Guelleh is part of a 4-day working visit that this delegation is making at the invitation of the President of the Djibouti National Assembly to our country. The members of the delegation also took advantage of this working trip to Djibouti to meet the Chinese business community in Djibouti, to whom they did not fail to urge to redouble their efforts and investment in our country in order to increase the already excellent level of win-win partnership between our two states and our two populations. The Ambassador of the Republic of China, Mr. Zhu Ri-Chens, took part in the hearing. On the Djiboutian side, the President of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, at these meetings should be noted. The first Vice President of the National Assembly, Mr. Elmi Absi Wais, the Chairman of the Djibouti-China Friendship Group, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed, and his deputy, Mrs. Nouria Wabri, also attended the hearing. The chairman of the Djibouti-China Friendship Group, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed, has given us an interview where he said that the Chinese delegation has fruitfully said the members of the high-level Chinese delegation were able to see for themselves the many successful projects, including port infrastructures, the new free trade zone, the electric railway, around which the Republic of Djibouti and the People's Republic of China have worked together. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, sent a message of congratulation today, Monday, to his Somali counterpart, Mr. Mahmoud Abdullahi Mohammed, whose country is celebrating its national holiday. In his message, the head of state expressed strong wishes for success, well-being and prosperity to all Somali nationals. The people and government of Djibouti join me in expressing their sympathy and friendship to the Somali people on the occasion of the celebration of your National Independence Day, wrote President Guelleh. I hope that the colossal effort undertaken under your leadership will lead to a definitive and complete restoration of the tranquility and influence that once characterized Somalia on the regional, continental and international scene. He continued. Already the significant progress made in the critical and important areas of security and economic recovery are highly encouraging. Signs will increase the confidence that Somalia can inspire in the rest of the world. President Ismail Omar Guelleh also noted that Djibouti was determined to work continuously for the security and economic promotion of Somalia. In the morning of yesterday morning, Health Minister Mohamed Warsa Madiri and Interior Minister Mumin Ahmed Sheikh, the Dean of the Board of Directors in the World Bank Group, Mr. Miraza Hussein, and Regional Director Mrs. Marina Weiss inaugurated the Radiology and Emergency Department at Obok Medical and Hospital Center. On the arrival, the Minister of Health and his delegation were warmly welcomed by the Prefect of Obok, Mr. Hassan Dabali, and the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Mohammed Hamid Ismail, as well as the inhabitants of Obok who flocked yesterday to attend the inauguration of this Radiology Department of the construction of an emergency pavilion. The inaugural ceremony was attended by a World Bank team led by the Regional Director ADDS, Director General Mahdi Abdullah Jama. It should also be noted that a good number of the health staff of the Medical Center of Obok are present on site, headed by the MHC's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Dembio. This new infrastructure will make it possible to improve care provision by providing a new intermediate level capable of providing specialized care such as maternity, emergency service, radiology, and ENT. It should be recalled that according to the Minister of Health, the establishment of the service response to the fourfold concern to improve the quality of the care provided and to improve access to local specialized care for large sections of the regional population. The Minister also urged the recipient population of this project to take great care of the brand new services. For his part, the World Bank representative commended the Djibouti government efforts to develop and modernize the national health system. He stated that his institution will always be ready to make a long-term commitment alongside the Minister of Health by joining forces to improve the quality of healthcare services in the Republic of Djibouti. The Prefect of Obok, Mr. Hassan Dabali, praised the genesis of the important socio-sanitary project which once again raised the quality of the care in health structures. Therefore, the President of the Regional Council, Mohammed Hamad Ismail, conveyed the message of thanks and gratitude of the population of Djibouti government, and more particularly to the head of state for the implementation of its local health policy. Then, on behalf of the resident of Oboh, and in his behalf, the President of the Regional Council took the floor to welcome the Minister of Health and his guests. In his intervention, the Minister of Health stressed the crucial and leading role played by his department in guaranteeing universality and equity of access to care, qualities that he believes remain a constant concern. After the speech, officials head to the premises where the Minister of Health and his delegation took a guided tour of this brand new jewel. This Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Dembi, introduced them to the different departments of the Obic Medical Center, which is the Minister inaugurated this radiology department and then reviewed all the departments that make up this hospital, including the maternity ward, which has investigation and exploration equipment, advanced technological equipment, several hospital beds and delivery room. The Minister of Health has indicated that the commissioning of this radiology and hospitalization service complies with the instruction of the Head of State, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. The new radiology service will further extend the coverage of specialized care to effectively meet the requirement of quality and proximity as defined by the country's new health policy. After the opening ceremony, the ministerial delegation visited Markazi camp, where it was warmly welcomed by Yemeni refugees. To this end, the ministerial delegation was received by several representatives of the United States High Commissioner for Refugees, the International Organization for Migration (EOM), and the Markazi camp officials, who presented them with the various infrastructures existing in the camps, such as the school, the infirmary, and the early childhood center. The delegation was also able to engage in a dialogue with Yemeni refugees who took stock of their situation and expressed their needs and preference. A father took the floor to show a sense of gratitude to Djibouti government and more particularly to the Head of State, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, who never tires of repeating the sentence, "We must open our doors to refugees in distress fleeing the war and its atrocities, and by doing so we must open our hearts all the same." These words always ring in our ears, and the words are not enough to thank the Djibouti government, he said in substance. The Minister of Equipment and Transport, Mr. Musa Mohammed Ahmed, received this morning in his office the Deputy Director of Surveillance and Supervision of the Office of Air Navigation of the International Civil Aviation Organization, Commander Denis Gundon, commissioned by the High Secretary General of. Also present were the Deputy Regional Director of EACF Office, Eastern of Central Africa Office, Mr. Artemon Dikumuna, the Acting Director General of Djibouti Civil Aviation, Mr. Daoud Ali Abdou, and Mr. Ali Mohammed Sanalasi, Head of Department at the Transport Directorate. During this visit, the section focused on the consolidation of Djibouti's civil aviation partnership with ICAO, in particular on ways and means of strengthening links in the field of air transport. Experts have seen all the achievement of Djibouti's civil aviation since 2015 roadmap. These achievements have enabled ICAO to provide technical and financial assistance. The minister thanked his host for his visit to Djibouti and recalled the challenges and the leading role played by our civil aviation in the sub-region and especially with neighboring countries. A ceremony to hand over the boats and Fishmen's Cooperative in the Arta and Tajura region took place this morning at the Djibouti Republic Fishery. This ceremony was held under the leadership of Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Livestock and Fishery Resources, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Awale. the representative of WFP, the Director of Fisheries, Mr. Ahmed Darar, the Prefect Coordinator, Mrs. Beidan, the Prefect of Arta Region, Mr. Abdullahi Darar, the Deputy of Prefect in Tajra Region. A total of 20 cooperatives from the Arta Region and Tajra Region have benefits from this both donation to effectively fight unemployment and exclusion, but also for the permanent and progressive professional integration of the primary school. Operates in country coasting fishing areas, aims to improve the living condition of vulnerable population in this area. The project coordinator and the director of fisheries spoke at the ceremony this morning, attached particular importance to the development of the fisheries sector in Djibouti. In fact, it is the only program entirely dedicated to this key sector that can make a significant contribution, especially to improving food security and overall socio-economic development in the country. The Minister of Agriculture, Fishery, Livestock and Fisher Resources, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Awali, explained that this grant contributes to the exploitation of national resources, two areas advocated by the head of state. It has often been said that the Republic of Djibouti benefits from significant fishery resources. This morning, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Hassan Mohammed Kamil, received in his ministerial cabinet the senior official of the Agency for the Disabled. In the case, the Director General of the agency, Mr. Duali Saeed Mohammed, his technical advisor, Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim Hassan, and the legal advisor. The Secretary of State for Youth in Sports, surrounded by his close collaborators such as the technical advisor Abdullahi Hassan, the Director of the Sport Training Center Saeed Ali Hussein, and the senior visitor of the Agency for the Disabled. After the customary greetings, immediately welcome in chorus the political vision of the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gili, and scale of inclusion development strategies aimed in ensuring the integration and development of people with special needs. The objective of this meeting was to sign a partnership agreement between the State Secretary for Youth and Sport and the Agency for Disabled. In doing so, the Secretary of State proposed within the framework of this partnership to initiate about 30 young disabled people into diving into Dordogne with all necessary equipment in collaboration with the Underwater Federation. Finally, the Minister of his interlocutor expressed their full optimism about the success of this partnership with significant results for our young girls and boys with special needs. The President of the Djibouti Port and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Abubakar Omar Hadi, participated in the first Sino-African Economic and Trade Exhibition, which was held from June 27 to 28, 2019 in Changsha, China. On the sidelines of this event, Mr. Abubakar Omar Hadi participated in this investment promotion conference for Africa countries, during which he gave a speech. In his speech, Mr. Hadi highlighted the potential of the African continent in terms of resources and capital and human and the need of infrastructures. He also highlighted the importance of our country's infrastructures, in particular Djibouti's new international free trade zone and the Damarjog International Zone, as well as Djibouti's experience in this field as a land of meeting and exchange. In addition, in the margin of his participating in this event, the president of the port had many fruitful meetings. He first had an interview with the CEO of Silk Road Industrial, Mr. Zahu. The project is well combined with Djibouti's desire to develop green energy, such as the other project underway, as well as the alternative to importing electricity. This project will provide energy availability and attractive cost for the industries that will set up in DDID. Then Mr. Hadi met with the CEO of China, Mary Bunker, Mr. Sun. The latter presented the plan of his refinery project of bunkering activities to DDID. Finally, had a discussion with the mayor of Shanghai, Mr. Sun. Their discussion focused on the development of urban planning in Changsha, the investment potential offered by Djibouti, in particular our current and future ports and free zone for human companies. And it should be noted that more than 50 African countries participated in this event, which promotes Sino-African cooperation in areas such as trade, agriculture, investment in finance, construction, infrastructures, and industrial zone development. His Excellency Mr. Dia Edin Saeed Bamachrama, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Djibouti to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, was received in audience by His Excellency Mr. Bamachrama Abdul Hadi Al Mansour, predicts from the General Authority of Saudi Civil Aviation, to discuss cooperation between the civil aviation authorities of the two sister countries, in particular the preparation of the launch of Air Djibouti flights between Saudi Arabian airports in Djibouti. Ambassador Bamachrama was accompanied during this audience by Mr. Farhan Kahin Mohammed, Air Djibouti's Commercial Director, and Mr. Ilmi Hassan Abdullahi, Consular at the Djibouti Embassy in Riyadh. Moving on the international news, a giant octopus that extends its 5 corporate tentacles, the brand new Beijing Daxing Airport, is a grandiose work that stands 50 kilometers south of Tiananmen Square. The works officially completed this Sunday. The world's largest terminal will be inaugurated at the end of September to celebrate with great pomp of circumstances the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Its 4 runways will initially allow 70 million passengers to travel each year, the same number of Roissy and its 3 terminals by 2040. The capacity of the new terminal, its single terminal, will exceed 100 million passengers. These figures are currently all available at 2 airports, Atlanta, United States, and Beijing capital, saturated for several years. And that's all for this news. Thank you for your watching and the project of internet.